episode of Conversations with Karen and Kat. I'm Karen Scott Green.
And I'm Kat Hardrick.
And we are here today with Dr. Steele, Nicole Steele of Diamonds in the Rough.
Yes. How are you today, Doctor?
I am doing well. Glad to be here, ladies. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you for making time to talk with us. You are a busy woman.
Just a little bit.
You wear many hats.
Yes, ma'am. That is a fact. I do.
You wear many hats. So not only have been the founder of Diamonds in the Rough, you're also You're also a
coach,
life coach,
Christian. So instead of us keep guessing around, right? Go ahead and tell us where you're from, how you got started with Diamonds in the Rough, and I know we were reading about you went to Michigan. You got a degree from Michigan State as well. Are you from Michigan?
I am from Ann Arbor, Michigan. That is my hometown. I got a certification from Michigan State in nonprofit, in the nonprofit side of the work that I do. But I am a native of Ann Arbor. It's not far from Detroit, where my father was born and raised. And what's that?
What up, though?
What up, though? What you know about that? What you know about that?
From Detroit.
All right. I love it. I love it. So yeah, I say that Michigan is one of the best places to be from. You know, growing up in my hometown, my mother, who was a single parent at the time, did an outstanding job at ensuring, well, first of all, being a real model in my life and modeling in front of me and, walking the walk and talking the talk, which was a blessing. But she surrounded me with people in my life, strategically placed people in my life who loved me for who I was, just they got with me, back in the day. There was a true concept of a village. Right. And so I give God honor for the village.
By that village as well.
It's so important. And not that we don't have that now. It's not as much. So many people are focused on theirs and what they're doing.
They're so focused on getting by.
That part. And we have to go back to that village concept. But that's where it all started, was at home. Little did I know seeds were being planted, and even taking me through some of the tough times in my adolescent and childhood years, because, while my mother did an outstanding job, I had a lot of brokenness. I had brokenness from the divorce. I had brokenness just from life in general. I dealt with a lot of feelings, like many girls, of insecurity and self-doubt. And those feelings sent me on a path that led to poor choices and bad associations and self-destructive behaviors. You saying amen, amen,
right.
amen.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
But if it hadn't been for God, and had it not been for those people who believed in me when I didn't believe in myself, where would I be? And so again, that was the seed. I didn't know it at the time, but those were the seeds that have kind of blossomed into where I am in this incredible work that I get to do, both through Diamond in the Rough, as a confidence coach, and as one half of Gem Makers, which I, will share more with you all and your listeners.
All right. So we've mentioned Diamonds in the Rough. Tell us about Diamonds in the Rough.
Oh my gosh. So Diamond in the Rough is a faith-based mentoring and leadership program that has been serving girls and families for the past 19 years. We're based here in Gwinnett County in Metro Atlanta, but we focus on group mentoring, leadership training, career coaching, and family enrichment activities. And so we've been doing that, like I said, with local schools, churches, community centers, pretty much where the girls gather.
Okay.
Just creating a safe space for girls to, one, be reminded of who and whose they are. That's essential. But then to have a space that really fosters a sense of sisterhood. You know, there's this
Right.
this rumor that I hear that girls and women can't get along, and we
Mm.
just don't
Girl.
believe it.
That's
We
why
just don't
I'm so
believe
glad
that.
we do this. I hope that we're modeling how
Yes.
two Black women can be together, connected, support one another. So I'm glad you mentioned that. Thank you.
Yeah, we have to show the young people the way. We do have to model it. And so, creating that safe space, helping young people find their voice and learn to use it in a positive and productive way. We all have a voice, but not everybody is using it for the good. And
Right.
so kids have to be taught and trained and create, there has to be space created where kids have a voice.
Mhm.
So many young people grow up in households that are like, you're seen but not heard. Go on somewhere and sit down.
Mhm.
Kids, you don't have a voice.
Yeah.
And we have got to create a safe space for them to find their voice so that they can go out in the world and use it for good,
Yes.
and not have it just tampered down. So
Yeah.
those are just some of the things that Diamond in the Rough does, as well as creating a safe space for parents.
Right.
Because parenting is hard. I'm a mother of two. I have a 20-year-old and a 13-year-old. So me and my husband.
You look good,
never
girl. Pause. Wait a minute now. Look. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. So, but if anybody had told me that it was, woo, parenting is no joke. It is really no joke. So having a space where
Right.
girl, listen, I don't know if your viewers, that was the quote in my mind. I said, I don't know if the viewers are ready for that right there. But you're right. Parenting is not for punks. It is not. And so we pride ourselves on creating that safe space for parents too, because so many parents suffer in silence and they struggle. And when their kids go through moments, they think it's just them, and they need to know that there is hope. We have got to get back to that village, and we create spaces for parents to be unashamed, to come in, we serve it up on a regular basis, from our free parent workshops to experiences for families. And it has just been a blessing. It has been a blessing to have this community that has really pushed out some incredible, brilliant, and bright and bold women now, because girls have come and grown up in our program. And many of them have come back and are now serving as mentors and leaders.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So how are young people and families referred to you?
Right. How do you get them? And when you do that, you said the schools, how do you partner with the schools?
So that's a great question. It's a two-part question. So over the 19 years, we have grown primarily through word of mouth. Believe it or not, we do very little in terms of advertising, not because we don't want to. It's just the word of mouth from participants and volunteers and just community partners has filled the seats. In fact, over the last 12 to 13 years, we operate every year with a waiting list.
Oh, wow.
Which
How long is that waiting list?
Well, we open up registration typically July 1st of every year for 1 month, from July to August.
In the summer.
And in that short span of time, those seats are snatched up. And so people often go like, oh, that's great, but it's not, because we understand that for every girl that can't get into our program or another program, she's out there in this world trying to figure it out herself. And so that we don't want that to be our story, but we do partner as well. That's for our community-based program. We do partner with schools. And so we've worked with schools in Atlanta, in DeKalb, and definitely here in Gwinnett. A lot of our work in the schools have been based on the resources that are provided. So whether it's through grants, through sponsorship, we've got a relationship with several schools, but one of our newest partners actually is in Atlanta with Drew Academy, which is an award-winning charter school. And so just today, earlier today, I was over there with our team member, empowering little girls over there, and we're going to be working with some of the high schoolers in the fall. But we, whether it's the Boys and Girls Club, we've got we've worked with Rory Johnson over at the Lawrenceville Boys and Girls Club. In fact, the work that we do in Diamond in the Rough, it dates back beyond 19 years. It goes back to the work that me and some of my girlfriends started back in the 90s with a program called Sister to Sister that was started at the Eastside Carver Boys and Girls Club. So the community is really where it is. And I don't want to get long-winded, but the work that we do, in this award-winning program is due in part to our partners.
Okay.
We know what we do and we do well, but we get a chance to partner with other amazing organizations, with faith leaders, with educators out there on the front line, and of course with parents, because it does take that village. So we're just one piece of the larger puzzle. I get a chance to do it with a phenomenal team of volunteers and mentors that come out, and I tell you, they pour into these girls. They put it all on the line. But guess what? We are just scratching the surface. So even in these 19 years, we haven't really seen the fullness of what God has in store for us and for those that are connected with us.
So when you take your applications in July, when does the program start, and how long are you working with those girls that apply in July?
Great question. So we kick off in September. We like for the girls to get into school, kind of get a groove going in school, and we typically kick off the week after Labor Day. And so our program runs throughout the school calendar year. So we conclude our programming typically the first week in May.
Okay.
And we do a blended mix of group mentoring, and we do it now both live, and we also have groups that do it virtually, because what we found through COVID is that technology can be our friend. When COVID happened and everything stopped, God graced us to really be able to pivot. And we didn't miss a beat, through his grace. We didn't miss a beat. And so what that allowed us to do, last year alone, we served girls from 19 cities throughout Metro Atlanta, some as far as Peachtree City, from Dallas, Georgia. I mean, you're talking about distances that are really too far to drive on a regular basis. So we were able to, and when we came back live, we offer live mentoring and small groups, but we also utilize technology. And so we look forward to continuing to offer a hybrid mix so that distance is no longer a barrier for girls. In addition to our mentoring, we also do a wide variety of enrichment programs, most of which are not just for our members. So that's a way that we're able to tap into that waiting list and those families that are, not able to participate with the full program. We do pop-ups, we do confidence clinics, we do conferences, field trips with a college and career component.
What are the confidence clinics?
Oh my goodness. So one that we had I think it was in October, we did a confidence clinic that was focused on body confidence. So in the month of October, there's National Body Confidence.
You have that for grown women too? You have that for 50-year-old women?
There was some grown women in the building.
Okay.
But we were delighted to get the support of Vanity Fair. So Vanity Fair came out, the bra fitting people. They came out and they did a workshop, because, when you think about body confidence, we are all unique in design, everything. And we have to learn to embrace the skin that we're in. So creating a space, bringing in experts like Vanity Fair, who talked about bra fittings and how to find and different types of bras. You think about that seems common, but for a lot of girls and women, they never get that.
Bra size.
And they never got that proper training when you were younger, because if your parents didn't have it, then they didn't pour it into you. And then what we have today is not the same type of bras our grandparents and parents had back then too. Like it's just so many different things that you can do with that. So that's real good.
I know for myself, for me,
Uh-huh.
I haven't had a bra fitting since I was a teenager because I hate to try on clothes. I hate to go, I love to shop, but I hate to try on clothes. So I'll buy stuff, take it home, and then if it doesn't fit, I may take it back. So, I had a couple of kids. I don't know what.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. I'm sure you're
and
not.
that's real. You think about it, even in terms of access, there used to be bra fittings. You could go to almost any department
Yes.
store. There even were places. I mean, even here in Gwinnett, there were places that specialized in bra fittings. And I was shocked to find that is not that common.
Yeah.
People are buying online. There are a lot of different things out here, and we have to go back to the basics, especially with our young ladies, because like you all said, they just don't know.
Yeah.
And so Vanity Fair came out. They not only educated the women and girls, but they did bra fittings on site, y'all.
Well, that was real good.
Yeah.
And taught us how to do them and gave us not only a free bra, which was like a bonus.
Right.
They gave us a coupon for free bras, which was a blessing, but they gave us measuring tape and taught us how to
measure
moving on. So that's an example of a confidence clinic. And in addition to Vanity Fair back in October, we had some of our alum come out and they talked about challenges that they had when they were in middle and high school and how they overcame it with their bodies and their body type and embracing their skin. And we had, which was rather a true delight, one of our alum is a graduate of Clark Atlanta, and she went into fashion and merchandising and all of that. And she now has a business. So she came back and did a workshop on what not to wear because everybody can't wear everything.
Right.
We got to teach people
for your body type.
That's right.
That part.
Yeah.
That part. So that's an example of a confidence clinic. When you think about confidence in particular, we can talk about body confidence. We can talk about presentation skills. We can talk about communicating confidently. Confidence is broad. But that was an example of a pop-up, a one-day kind of 3-hour immersion into a topic centered around confidence, if that makes sense.
Do you also address mental health with the?
Oh my gosh. Yes, and more yes. We have done that even prior to COVID, but COVID just, as you all know, globally, it is an all-out, national health crisis that we've got going on. So we do that. We interweave it in a lot of different ways. So we do in our lessons, we're teaching our girls the importance of mental health, wellness, and self-care. We have a program called the Care Club, which actually was birthed during COVID to really kind of bring it more to the forefront, and it's now become a pillar of what we do. So in addition to interweaving it into mentoring, we do 8-week sessions with clinicians and with specialists. We do pop-ups and different events. During COVID, we did Zumba in the park to teach them different techniques and just all of that. But in addition to teaching the girls, we teach the parents because in the Black and Brown community, you all know it's been an issue that's been taboo for so long.
Right.
So we want to shine the light. We cannot be suffering in silence. And so workshops, teaching parents the importance of their mental health. We do trainings and certifications working with other specialists in the area. So we've taken many of our leaders through first aid mental health training so that because they're on the front line, so they need to be equipped and aware. So mental health is important. And then one of the other things that's super important is we have expanded our network of specialists in the area. So we know what we do and do well, but we don't do counseling. We bring counselors in.
You find
we've vetted certified counselors, and we make a lot of referrals and recommendations for behavioral specialists, behavioral health specialists, and what have you. We've been able to work with, like one of the reporters at 11 Alive did an incredible docu series on suicide among African American children, which again, that's another topic that's kind of taboo, but it's happening. Suicide
and those numbers are rising.
Right. Right.
They are. And so we needed to shine light and talk about suicide prevention. And so partnering with people like that to bring that documentary and bring awareness and have that safe space where there's no question that's a crazy question. We got to fight for our kids because the enemy is not playing. He is trying to truly kill, steal, and destroy, but he can't have our kids, period. So we have to constantly be looking at ways to be more proactive and not always reactive. And that's one of the things that we strive to do at Diamond in the Rough. Definitely keeping our hands on the pulse, our fingers on the pulse of what's going on with our girls and our families. It's important.
So one of the things I wanted to ask, and I'm sure you answered it, I just want to make sure we highlight that. I know we talked about mental health, and you have the documentary on suicide, and you connect with the schools, but like, how do we get the children connected to you that may have all these behavioral issues that we find in the school? So we did a symposium back in October that was youth focused, so we can hear from the young people, so we can get what they actually needed. So how can we get you in front of Diamond in the Rough and your village in front of these young people and their families? Because the resources are out there. People
are saying they're not aware. They don't know about organizations like Diamonds in the Rough.
Correct.
Yeah, and you know that's it's interesting that you all say that, because that's one of the things that we hear, and as true as it is, it just makes my stomach quiver. People call and they go, "Oh my gosh, this is incredible! I wish I had known." And it's like, we are not, believe you me, we are not trying to be a hidden treasure.
Right.
We want everybody to know. So just even what you all are doing today by inviting me as a representative of Diamond in the Rough, and now that you all are finding out more information, you know, allowing this space to be an echo chamber for us. And as you go on out and you're networking and you're engaging with educators and parents, pointing them towards us, you know, helping to multiply the mouths, pretty much is what it looks like. We go into spaces, so whether it's talking to parents, speaking at different events, be it myself or other members of our team, we do that. Sitting down at the table, one of our newest partners is the Gift Center. We've worked with a lot of schools in Gwinnett over the years. I mean, countless schools.
But wait, but how do you get in those schools? Like when you say you work with
word of mouth, honey, word of mouth. Every school that we have gone into, we have been ushered in by someone in that school. So whether it's a teacher that brings our program to the attention of the administrators, or whether it's a counselor that, you know, is referring, because sometimes for whatever reason, be it resources or time, or, you know, like during COVID, we couldn't go into schools. Nobody could go into schools. But even those counselors and educators in the house can refer, you know, as they've got people, as they see girls that are kind of at that crossroad, you know that they are really wanting change, because that is one thing that is important for the people who participate in this program.
Have to be willing.
They have to have buy-in.
That part there. We have parents that call, and we although we're grateful, we let parents know that ultimately it's your daughter's decision whether this is a good program, because she's going to have to do the work.
That's right.
And so if, you know, there are a lot of great programs that we can refer people who are in other situations, or the girl, you know, we have other organizations.
They have to be willing participants to be in your
program. Got to, because we bring girls, and let me just mention this, you know, there's this I guess this myth about mentoring. And a lot of people, when they hear about mentoring, they're like, oh, that's for the inner city, that's for the at-risk, that's for the, and all of those, listen, all of our kids are at risk,
That's
every
right.
single one of them.
Because if you
And
think
so-
if you think because you're in the suburbs that you're
Hmm.
somehow safe,
You better wake up.
Money does not
Turn on your
mean
TV.
just say.
Yeah. So we have girls in our program from the full gamut. I mean, we have girls that have been referred by teacher and administrator. Maybe they're at that crossroad, and they come into the program. But we also have girls in our program who are honor roll students, world travelers, many who sit on advisory boards in the community, six-figure incomes, two-parent household, the picture of what people think is good. And guess what? The beauty is it works well because we get to learn from one another. It's a snapshot of the real world. And so people are able to bring their experiences and their knowledge and their wisdom. They're able to build empathy. They're able to leave, either inspired or appreciative. You know what I mean? It just works really, really well. But if the girls don't want to be there,
then they're not gonna hear anything that you're saying.
Not a thing. Not a thing.
And
so back to your question in terms of how do we make the connection between the families and girls in need of services and us? Word of mouth, sending them to our website, DITR.org. You all as community leaders and advocates and professionals, even adding yourself to our communications list. So as things come through, you're like, oh, let me push this, let me share this on my social media and spread it to my network too. All of that helps.
You have our email address, so add us, please.
That's right.
All right.
Yeah.
Consider it done. Yes,
When
ma'am.
people donate.
Yes, let's talk about that.
So you look at
that, because we believe that everybody has a part to play. Some will be able to participate with their kids and take advantage of our workshops and events and experiences. Some will be able to partner. And so that is needed, because when I talked about that waiting list, that's with us maxing out our volunteer team, our space, all of that. We're able to do what we do only through the support that we have. And so whether it is, we have seniors who contribute to our program, we have corporations, we have people who have employee matching programs. And so, but they're our voice in those boardrooms and in those buildings, when people, I can't tell you the power of partnership. Yeah. And then, of course, as you said, participating as a volunteer, rolling those sleeves up. We have a team right now of just over 60 volunteers that work with us in various capacities. From mentoring, we have administrative opportunities, and we have special events volunteers as well. So we can't do it alone. So if you've got people or hear of people who have that passion, who are talking and saying, oh, these kids, Lord Jesus, these kids. Okay, let's be part of the solution. What can you do? What can you do? You can do something right.
I had that experience at the school once, and somebody said, these bad parents, and I was, ooh, it just went all over me. What's the solution? Right? Instead of throwing somebody, because none of us, no child came out with instructions tied to their toes. We all had to learn this.
Yeah.
And it takes a village. So instead of putting down a parent or parents that's doing the best that they can, why don't you find out, how can I help you? Because maybe they just lost their job or a loved one and they're struggling. You don't know what the situation is, but extend yourself before you slam somebody.
That's so
that boils our
grinds my gears.
Yeah, that.
You and me.
when we hear folks, as we encounter people across, doing what we do, that talk about bad kids, bad parents. No child. I do juvenile court work. I'm an attorney. So I represent kids, and sometimes I represent parents that come before the juvenile court, either that have been removed from their families, or children who have who've committed delinquent acts or accused of committed delinquent acts. And no child or no family comes in that courtroom by themselves, right? Even if they committed a crime or delinquent act, they didn't come there by themselves. Something happened.
That's right.
There was some precedent, something that happened back here
Right.
before that child came in front of that judge. And we need to hear that entire story. We need to hear that we need to hear that family situation to determine how can we help this child so that this family can heal whatever that brokenness is.
Right.
And so that this young person, if they're in front of the court as a delinquent child, so that this young person doesn't end up going over into the adult system.
Right.
That part.
Yeah.
You know, I tell people all the time, as a society, we can invest now on the front end, ideally, or we gonna pay later. And it doesn't matter if it's the child that came from your loins and all your, you know, if you gave birth to them, you can turn on the news every day and you can see faces of children now, not just adults, but whether it's adults or children that, like you said, something happened. Yeah. Where's the trauma? Let's trace the trauma. Let's trace the neglect. Let's trace the poor choices. Nobody comes out of the womb bad. Nobody comes out of the womb, or nobody grows up and just says, you know, when I grow up, I just want to be, you know, ratchet and crazy. That's nobody's goal on their vision board. Right. So we have to help. We have to show our kids the way. And
whether it's out my teeth.
Don't go on your vision board.
On their vision board. So, you know, we have to create safe spaces, and everybody, like I said, has a part to play, whether it's with our program or other programs, or if it's just being that voice in the family. Everybody should have a safe home, should be a safe space. Okay. Family should be a safe space. And I know families are struggling, mental health is real, you know, people, all of that. But even if it's just being that auntie in the family or that uncle, that trusted adult in that community, that coach, that church member, where young people, they need a safe space, period. And a safe ear that's non-judgmental, that's going to teach them the truth in love, meet them where they are, but show them the way. Everybody wants to be seen, heard, and loved, period. We all come out, that's a need that everybody has, and they deserve it more than
said at our youth
at the
symposium. That's what they said. They wanted to be seen,
and they wanted to be heard, and they wanted to be included in solutions. Like they wanted their voice to be included in the solutions and not just be told, like, we're doing this,
do as I say,
and do as I say. You know, they want to be part of the solution to like what's going on in their schools. Do you do any work on the south side of the county at like Shiloh and South Gwinnett?
Oh my goodness, we have in the past. We have worked with both of those schools. It's been a while, but we had, and in fact, at Shiloh, we had a unique model for a couple of years where we started going in, but we worked with the teachers and the administrators. At the time, one of the assistant principals brought us in, and we ended up, it was totally optional, but teachers opted in to be trained as Diamond in the Rough members. So what would happen is after school, the teachers would take off their teacher hat, they throw on their other clothes, and they would create that safe space. And we would go in, we provided training, curriculum, support. We would go in and kind of assist them. But it became just an ideal situation, because where are the kids spending the majority of their time? In school. So if they see this teacher, not just someone who's teaching me math or science or English, but this is also Miss such and such, that's my mentor, and she's doing small groups, and so it was a a great model that went on for a couple of years at Shiloh. We've also gone into South Gwinnett and done topical workshops with different programs, both after school and during school. That's when I think Clay Hunter, it's been a while. Mr. Hunter, one of the principals, were there. But again, with the schools, it's always been an internal advocate that brings us into the table.
So we have to figure out how to get you back on the South End, because
Yes,
we need some programs.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I feel like I feel like these resources needs to be mandatory and not like optional. I think it should be something that comes from the Board of Education, where we have all these resources, because I know we have the 5 steps for the disciplinary and so forth. But if you identify these issues, what about having a pocket of resources like Diamonds in the Rough, people who can address mental health, partner with the parents, give the
Conflict
parents
management,
conflict resolution, you know, Gwinnett Stop, Gwinnett Chat Outreach, I Can, Diamond in the Rough, all these different organizations working together, so that when something happens, be proactively.
That part.
Now we can say, parents, here are a plethora of options for you that you can pour into, and these people can pour into you and your family before something happens.
Before they end up in your courtroom.
Right. A gun is brought, someone's in the emergency room and all this other stuff, a kid's getting jumped. We need to be more proactive. So when you have your great organization along with others, we need to make sure that the school board knows that, so that instead of we going school by school by school, it's already disseminated with the entire school board.
Yeah. I think, and I do think that we're closer. And I just got to commend any educators that are listening, or administrators. You know, I met you all at the incredible event that was hosted at New Mercies just after that young man got shot at Norcross High School. And it was great. I mean, to come and to see the community, all races coming on out. But I would love to see us, like you said, look at more preventative, you know, bring the people to the table and have the conversations, and make sure that people aren't doing work in silos, because that's really what it all boils down to. Right. I need to know, not just here in Gwinnett, but statewide.
That's right.
Who is doing what, because that happens with us when we get calls from the south side of Atlanta, or way down, you know, in far places where we know it's not realistic maybe for a parent to drive them up here every week or every other week. Guess what? We have girl serving organizations in the pocket that we can refer them to.
Yeah.
You know, we've got girls, ladies favor. We've got different programs that we can say, hey, we got a waiting list, but here's some other organizations. I think if more organizations really just came up for air and really own what you do, and know that what God has for you is for you, but this work is too massive for any one organization to go around. It's enough, really. And so we have got to come up, and then likewise with the schools, you know, our superintendent, Dr. Watt, all of these, they've got major challenges that are unprecedented. You know, people compare, we can't compare today, 2022 and 23 students, not even to the ones of 2020.
Right.
We have gone through a whole pandemic, y'all.
Right. That's right.
And so they're dealing with stuff that they maybe didn't even get in school. Nobody knows how to deal with what we haven't been this way before. Right. And so if we can come to the table and talk about solutions and be able to understand who does what, so we can utilize our resources well, whether it's referrals, whether it's preventive programs, we got to do something different, because we're losing our kids. We're losing them, y'all. When I turn on the news and the stories are getting younger and younger and younger, and 13-year-old, 11-year-old, 15-year-old that are like making forever decisions through temporary circumstances. I'm mad, so I'm gonna pull a gun on you and kill you, or kill myself. I mean, you think about the suicide, all of these things. It's a lot. But let me say this. It's a lot, but I also believe, I'm very hopeful, call me a dreamer if you will, but I believe this generation right now is by far the greatest generation. And I think that's why we see such an attack on them. I think if we can help them maneuver through and build the skills and find their voice and, manage their emotions, they are going to be the generation that truly does exceeding abundantly above all that we could ever imagine. They're going to do great things.
I have faith that they will.
Yeah, because
I believe that.
They're doing
I
it.
believe
These young kids are doing it.
They're also the same generation that took to the streets after George Floyd and said, no more. Like
they said, enough. This is tired. They are tired.
Yeah.
And so imagine
if we not our parents. They said we not our parents. And that's what they did, honey. Yeah.
And they took to the street. Because of that, people actually ran for office and
right. That's right.
So world changers.
Yes.
World changers. World changers. So imagine taking that brilliance and being able to shape and mold it. Our name, people often ask, like, ooh, Diamond in the Rough. Ooh, that's great. That's a great name. But that's a God-inspired name. And what God showed me from the very beginning, I don't know if you ladies have ever seen a rough diamond. I went to South Africa. I did some teaching over there. And while I was there, I went to the diamond, a diamond museum. And I was, it was fascinating. But when you think about a rough diamond, as you look at it, it looks, you can't see anything in it. You would throw it, you toss it, you kick it. But that same rough diamond in the hands of the right person, it's still got value. It's got potential. It just needs to be handled with care. It needs to be properly polished and formed and shaped to really expose the true brilliance. Well, the same is true for each one of us. The same is true for each one of these kids out here in the right hands. The hands meaning the right families, the right communities, the right churches, schools. In the right hands, it just takes one or two people of care to bring that brilliance out of our kids. But we got to be in position.
Right. All right.
We can't talk about it. We got to be about it. And I know people are tired and frustrated and scared and paranoid and annoyed and all the things. But our kids need us. They need us. And that's the ones in our homes, the ones in our neighborhoods.
That's right.
The ones at the mall that you see them with their pants down or see them popping the bubble gum and all of that. They need love too. All of them. They need love.
That's right. And Dr. Steele, we thank you for the work that you're doing. And we want to encourage anyone listening to this podcast or watching us on YouTube when this airs to get involved. We will have your contact information for the website. Is there an email address that if someone wanted to email for more information?
Yep, they can send that to admin, admin at DITR.org, which is the initials of Diamond in the Rough. And me or the team can get back to them, get their questions answered for sure. They can also follow us on social. We're on both Facebook and Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn. So any professionals out there, check me out on LinkedIn and let's connect. And let us know what we can do, whether it's speaking, whether it is coordinating with some kind of event, whatever that, or just even promoting things that are out there, because we do a lot of that. We have a Facebook group that we promote stuff that we're not even doing because it's about getting those resources out there. So I welcome all of that.
Building that village.
Absolutely.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, thank you so very much, Dr. Steele, as always.
Yeah. Thank you, ladies. It has been a pleasure. And thank you for the work that you're doing on the ground, giving voice to people and organizations. Thank you for the work that you do. Yeah, making this a place that can get the word out. So God bless and thanks again.
Thank you.
God bless you as well.
And thank you for joining us for this episode of Conversations with Karen and Kat.
Where we are impacting the world one conversation at a time.
Bye-bye.